be working just fine. So anyway, what you're seeing here is DArcomage. So this is the card game that I have been working on for some time. It was essentially a work of another person who started making a remake of the original DArcomage. DArcomage itself was actually done by a third-party studio, and the game was licensed by New World Computing to use in Might and Magic 7 and 8 as a card game you can play in inns. But it's an actually nice game all by itself. It was then released independently as DArcomage, but it was still quite a long time ago. I think it was around 2000. And it doesn't really work well these days on pretty much any modern system. And so that person who did a bit of a clone of it, I took over the project because he no longer was maintaining it, and rewrote it in the D programming language. And well, this is what we have. I'm calling it DArcomage because it's DArcomage. And basically how this works is that you have two players. One player has stats in terms of facilities that generate resources and resources themselves. You use resources to play cards. Here are card costs, and so you use the cards that you have. You can either play it or discard it, and the cards have all sorts of different effects on the enemies. And of course your goal is to either build up your tower to the top, or demolish the enemy tower, or also generate a lot of resources. So it's pretty simple, nothing too special about it. It's very easy to understand once you start playing. So it's like Lingering Cold. It attacks the enemy and gives you some gems, while Frost Columns builds +6 to lowest wall. Well, Frost Columns L. So yeah, basically wall itself doesn't do anything, but it does protect your tower from most cards, because if it does damage, then it will first have to go through the wall, and then only it can reach the tower. So having a lot of wall is useful. And this game also has a lot of different card decks you can use. So for example, right now what I am working on is a card deck based on Toho Perfect Cherry Blossom. And right now it only has like 5 different cards, I think. So it's not very exciting. But, well, all card decks have to start somewhere. Also, they are using 3 damage plus 3 gems. That's strange, because they ought to have a Lingering Cold L, which does more, and they would probably prefer to use that. I'm not too certain. I'll have to do all sorts of debugging and whatnot to find out what is going on, really. Oh yeah, and don't do that, because that's absurd. And I think I lost because of that. Yeah, most likely. So yeah. You build things, you do all sorts of card manipulation in order to have a better setting than the enemy has, and that's how you play the game. It's pretty simple, it's very easy to understand. Cards can get very complex, but they're mostly limited by the space where you can write the card effect. On higher resolutions you could probably fit more of text into them, but I'm trying to maintain 800 on 600 as the minimum resolution for it. So, well, that's hopefully going to work out. But yeah, in the future I'll try and get higher resolution support. It kind of should work already, but it's not tested and I don't think it's hooked up just yet. I need to test it out and do all sorts of debugging so everything would scale properly. But yeah. So, aww. Alright. But this is just what I'm working on. I want to also show you how everything looks like in the editor. So the whole thing is open source, so you can download it and whatnot and edit it, fork it if you want, and all the other good stuff that open source software allows to do. So yes, what I want to do actually is to go and edit the configuration file for the game. So there's a file called in DArcomage, libDarcomage, there's a file called configuration.lua, and it has all the different configurations that you can change. So basically the starting tower levels, the wall levels, the starting quarry, magic dungeon, brick, gem, and recruit levels, some technical things like resolution, like I mentioned, whether it should be full screen, I will have to test that out as well. Frame rate, sound, card translucency levels, how many cards you have in hand, whether you see the opponent's cards, and also some appearance tweaks that you can do and whatnot. And there's also the cardpools.lua file, which tells the game which card pools to use. So, right now I'm using my new card pool that I'm developing, and I can just show you what happens if I enable pretty much all of those. I'll enable the new one as well, just for added effect. So enable this, and then enable PCB for perfect cherry blossom. Alright, so I did that, and now I just need to refresh the configuration file. The game automatically refreshes the configuration file once you enter a game and then exit it. So yeah, you don't need to actually reload the game, although you can if you want. So yes, all kinds of different cards here. And the configuration file, as you could see, it uses math random for pretty much everything, for all the starting things. So you get a lot of interesting scenarios that you can get in the game. So for example, here you start with very, very low quarry and magic, so you get very few resources per turn. And 3 is pretty good, so you get a good amount of recruits per turn. And as you can see, it says 19, and the tower is quite high. That means there is a very low winning ceiling. And generally gems are used to build up your tower. So in fact, looking at this, I think I can win by simply using Blind Guardian. Yep. One card win. But yes, that's of course more of an exception than a rule. And usually you get things like this, where your towers are like at 20, but they are super low. That means probably that the goal is to get about 200 tower. So that means that this will be a fairly long game. And now these cards, when I enabled all of the card pools, what it does is it enables all the cards in the game from all the different decks. Right now I have decks for the original Arcomage, for some of the M Arcomage cards. Oh yeah, this is from the original, this is from M Arcomage, and then some of the Toho cards as well. So, yeah. And like I said, so this is mostly a strategy game. Yes, it is a one-card win. So I have to figure out what is the best way to play. The original Arcomage actually started off with 6 cards, and M Arcomage uses 8 cards, and I do prefer 8 cards because there's more strategy involved in that. But for example, right now I have an all-elemental attack. What it does is it converts all of your resources into attack power. This is really good, but it costs 18 of every single resource. So it's very, very expensive to use. So what I want in that case is to get many recruits so that I could actually use it. But the problem is that I have only one facility. Meaning that... Wait, did I? That's right, I didn't... Duh. Okay, hopefully things will look better now, Crocodile-Gator. Yeah, so anyway... I have only one, and I have only 9 recruits, only 1 dungeon, so I need more dungeon. Now this would help me a lot, because it's blacksmith, it adds +1 to dungeon, so I would get 2 recruits per turn. But it also costs 10 recruits itself, so I cannot afford to use any card that uses recruits right now, or else I won't be able to use blacksmith on the next turn. So, eliminating this card, of course, and that card, because we cannot play them at all. And this card, because it will use recruits, we have Bronze Golem, Dragon's Eye, Ancient Ruins, Bloody Moon, and Burglar. Now, Bloody Moon removes an enemy dungeon. They have 1 dungeon, so using this will not do anything, because you don't have a situation when you have 0 dungeon and no way of actually increasing it. That would be really unfair. So this is useless. Ancient Ruins are okay. Right, I cannot use Burglar either, because it's a green card. It's also color-coded. Green uses recruits, blue uses gems, and red uses bricks. So the only real cards that I can use are Ancient Ruins, Dragon's Eye, and Bronze Golem. Now, Dragon's Eye is really powerful. Ancient Ruins is something you use when you don't have enough resources, which in this case would be quite good, but it only adds +1 to recruits. So I don't think I really want that. So I think I'll go with Dragon's Eye. And it doubled the tower, which is really nice. Okay, so the enemy used an Emerald Megalith. +6 tower, +6 wall. That's a pretty good card too. And it does cost quite a lot, 13. So now they have a low amount of bricks, which means that they won't be able to use any strong bricks card, which usually builds up tower. No, I mean wall. Sometimes tower as well, like in the case of Emerald Megalith. Alright, so now I have Blacksmith, and I will use it. And they use Book of Magic, which increases their magic, so they get 5 gems every turn. That's okay, because they already had 4 facilities in magic, so adding 1 more is not really that much of an issue. So I'm fine, I think. Although eventually, if they have a lot of facilities, they will have a lot of resources, and there is a victory condition for generating a lot of resources, so that's something to keep in mind. Alright, so now I got a Trilithon Shake, which adds +1 to Quarry and does 6 damage to enemy tower. That is very good. I will definitely use that. And the enemy used Legionella 9, which adds even +2 to dungeon. That is a huge boost, and now I am outnumbered when it comes to facilities. That's really bad. I do need to use that all-elemental attack, but I need some more resources. And the thing is, I'm not gaining any resources because I'm building facilities. That's always a problem, because you have to either prioritize building facilities so you get more resources per time, or just have more resources by playing cheaper cards. So it's always a balance. Alright, so now I have Color Typhoon, +5 damage, well, 5 damage and +5 gems. That's not bad. It's pretty much a free card if you have 4 gems. But it's not very powerful, so I don't think I want to use it. Bloody Moon would be quite good. Enemy dungeon -1, they have 3, and this would help a whole lot. It is expensive though, but I think I can afford that, because I will need to wait for my recruits to go up anyway. So let's use that. Also, in this game, what I did is I implemented particles, so you can see the effect that the card had very visually. There was something of a sort in the original Arcomage, but the particle number was fixed and not dependent on the card's power. And I also did it so that you could see particle effects for every single card effect that the card has. So it's a bit more easy to grasp what the card actually did. Alright, so they have low tower, which means that they would be very susceptible to attacks to the tower. The problem is I don't have any cards that attack the tower. And they also have very high wall. That's something I will not be able to break down that easily. However, I do have an Amazon Warrior, which adds extra damage when the enemy wall is more than 30. It does 17 attack in total. But it also costs recruits, and I don't want to spare my recruits, because I want to use the all-elemental attack. So, I think what I want to do... either to use the Bronze Golem, or the Color Typhoon, or the Ancient Ruins. Well, I don't really need bricks or gems at this point, so I think I will use Bronze Golem or Color Typhoon. And I think... yeah, I'll use Bronze Golem because it does damage to enemy wall specifically. Alright, and now what I got is Curse of Vlad Tepes, which does 6 damage to enemy tower and removes 6 enemy recruits. It is also a cannot discard or cursed card, so you cannot actually discard it. If I right-click, nothing happens. Which means I will have to play it at some point in the game. I could avoid playing it and just use my other cards, but eventually I might get even more of those types of cards, and eventually I will be forced to play it anyway. It's a pretty good card overall, but I think I want to wait one more round until they have 6 recruits so I could use the most of it. Then, what's left then? I don't want to use Burglar. Color Typhoon or Basic Wall are probably the best options right now. Or Ancient Ruins. Yeah, I guess I'll go with Color Typhoon. Oh no, they used Amazon Warrior. Well, I still have 20... I have 20 wall, so that's okay. But what else to use? Well, they have only just above 30, so if I don't use my Amazon Warrior right now, I might not get the ability to use it effectively later on. But I still don't want to use it because I really want that all-elemental attack, so I think for now I will just use Ancient Ruins. Also, they used their recruits, so I couldn't do much there. It's always a bit of a balance in that you're never really certain what the enemy is going to do. So waiting for them to have 6 recruits can mean that you will never get that because they will always use their recruits before getting to 6 or something. So you have to consider whether it's better to use it at 4 or something. Also, now we got Clock Corps, +5 tower, and play again. That's nice because it doesn't go to the enemy turn. So you can do something else. And it also, when played, gives you another card. So that's always good. Alright, so there's Absorption. Yeah, this is actually pretty good. Absorption gives you 4 recruits and takes 4 recruits from the enemy. I will want to use that, but I think I want to hold off until the enemy has any recruits to absorb. And then there's Work Overtime, which costs 6 gems and 2 bricks. But I think I don't really want that right now. Might as well use Basic Wall. Oh! Alistar Flame of Heavens. +50 gems, +1 magic. That is really strong. It does cost a whole lot of gems, though. That might be very dangerous, because now they will be able to use pretty much any card that costs only gems. But we'll get there later, I guess. Right now, let's see what I should play. If they have 2 recruits, I still want to wait until they have 4, if at all possible. I guess Work Overtime would work. Although I really don't want to lose gems at this point, because we're getting very close to the point where I would have 18 recruits and gems. But I guess I do get 4 gems every turn, so it's not that big of a deal. Oh, Blizzard! Stock -20. That's one of the DArcomage cards, and it destroys your stock. No resources left. Well, Absorption will work nicely, but that really postpones the all-elemental attack to a very distant future. That was very unfortunate. And very nice of the AI to use that. It did help it quite a bit. Alright, so now I have a Gorgeous Flower, which adds +1 to dungeon, and a Book of Magic, which adds +1 to magic. So I definitely want to use the Gorgeous Flower, so I could get my resources back more quickly. They use Quartz. And Imaginary Vine. 5 damage to enemy tower, but enemy gains +5 wall. That's nice. So it lowers the tower, but adds to wall. Alright, well, I don't have much choice here. I have to either discard something or play Amazon Warrior. And I think my cards are pretty good at this point, that I don't really want to discard anything, so I might as well play Amazon Warrior. Oh, Battering Ram. -10 to enemy wall. That's pretty cheap and it does a lot of damage. But it only does damage to walls, so if you have 0 wall, then this will not do anything. So it's a bit of a situational card. Alright, so Book of Magic is available to me. Let's use it. Oh, what I got here is Apocalyptic Rain. What it does is it converts bricks into attack, modified by magic. So if I have 34 gems, this will pretty much annihilate the enemy because we have a lot of bricks accumulated. The problem is actually getting that much. Alright, so I have to start saving up gems pretty much. And bricks if I can. Ancient Ruins does just that. Alright. They use big wall. I would really prefer having more wall, because right now there are real issues with the enemy being able to easily attack my tower. But I don't want to spend my gems on that. However, if I'm going for Apocalyptic Rain, then I don't have to worry about the all-elemental attack, which means I can use a Burglar to get me some stock. Yeah, that would be the best thing, because I won't waste either gems or bricks. More Imaginary Vine. They can easily wear me down with that. Alright, Blind Guardian. Something I could use, but it does cost a whole lot. But my tower is fairly low, so that would give me a bit more safety in that regard. But do I want to use it right now? Well, I do get 4 bricks and 5 gems, so this won't be that bad. I think I will use it. Yeah, my wall is really going low. But there's not much I can do about it right now. Alright, well, let's conserve some more of my gems, and let's use Archer. Archer's pretty nice card. Oh no, Solar Flare. Well, I still have more tower than they have, so I think I'm good. And they don't have any recruits they can use to attack me, so that's also good. Oh, plus 8 wall, that would be really good. Yeah, I'll use that. They also use the Blind Guardian. But what I got here is very interesting. Border Fortress, plus 25 tower, plus 50 wall. That's very amazing, but it costs 45 bricks. And I need them for the Apocalyptic Rain. So I could either use the Border Fortress now and try and regain all the bricks, or I can wait some more until I have enough gems. And given that I will have enough gems just on the next turn, I might as well use Burglar instead. Colorful Rainbow, adds plus 5 of each resource. That's a very nice card to have. But I have Apocalyptic Rain available now. So attack is bricks times magic, divided by 3. And bricks are set to 0. So, let's do this. Yes! Victory! Alright, so that was nice. Well, I guess let's try another round of this. So, what are the settings right now? A lot of resources, once again low recruit, well, low dungeon I would say, and lower requirements for a Tower of Victory. And I have some really nice cards here. Rock Stompers, -1 to enemy quarry, Basilisk, 20 attack, 10 wall, +1 quarry, enemy wall +10, and enemy quarry +1. So in effect that increases both quarries and deals 10 damage to the enemy and builds 10 wall for you. That's a very nice card to have. And unavailable I have the Architect Academy, adds +15 to tower and +1 to quarry. That's also very nice, but I need more bricks. So I think what I will do is use my Basilisk to get more quarry, which gives me more bricks. Oh, they use the Star of David to get +2 magic. Oh, yeah, that's off to a bad start. Hopefully they won't get any cards that require a lot of gems. Alright, so I need more Architect Academy. Well, more bricks for it. So I don't want to use bricks. I do want to use my Rock Stompers though, and I don't have enough resources for that right now. So I pretty much have to use either Forge Blaze or Sapphire, and I'll use the Sapphire. There's a pretty good chance that I will be able to get a Tower Victory in this case. So I might as well try and do that. But I still want that Architect Academy. So I could either use Goblin Mob or Forest Blaze, and I think in this case it's better to use Forest Blaze, because it's cheaper that way. Oh no, they use Blacksmith. Well, now I have the choice of either using Architect Academy or Rock Stompers. Well, I think I'll use Rock Stompers first. Oh, really? Again a blizzard, and again there go all my bricks that I was saving for the Architect Academy. Should have used this instead. Oh well. But now I can more easily use my green cards. So, yeah, well, I don't really have much of a choice, so I have to use Forest Blaze. Which is still fairly useful. Aw. Great Wall +15 to wall, that is a lot of wall. Blind Guardian, once again a very useful card, especially when there's a low goal for Tower of Victory. But I still want to save up my bricks. So Goblin Mob it is. It's a card that actually hurts you as well. Really, they have 4 dungeon. Oh well, let's use the ruby. Well, it's too bad that I lost recruits, but now I can actually use the Architect Academy. Whoa! And get a lot of bricks every turn. Which doesn't stop them from using Book of Magic and getting even more gems each turn. But hey, now I can use the Blind Guardian. Basilisk. Alright, well, what next do I want to use here? I would like to have more wall, because right now it's perilously low. But there don't seem to be many cards that would add wall. Only Emerald Megalith will do that. And I need to save some bricks for it. So I might as well do that. So right now I have the choice of Nightbird, that does absolutely nothing pretty much, and Absorption, that does something better. Well, actually, looking at it, Absorption is twice the power of Nightbird, and it does pretty much the same thing. So Absorption it is. Oh, Dark Pegasus. Oh! Scarlet Gensokyo. Plus 10 wall, plus 2 magic, 10 damage to enemy tower. Very powerful card, as you could expect from Romilia's cards. Oh, well, that leveled the playing field quite a bit. And they even have 10 magic right now. That is really a whole lot. And I don't have any good cards either. Well, I guess I'll use Emerald Megalith now to try and protect my tower. Oh, Angry Mob. Doesn't cost anything, but removes 2 stock, and the attack power depends on the facilities they have, and is the sum of all facilities. So 20 attack in this case for a card that only costs pretty much 6 resources. That is a whole lot. So I might actually lose this if this continues. Well, I have to put more wall here, so let's use Baron's Keep. Good thing I got it. Alright, so they have more than 30 wall, which means I can use my Amazon Warrior. But is it something I want to do? Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's the best card I have right now, and overall my cards are really bad. Which is not helping matters. Oh, Spizzer, that's a very nice card. It does 10 damage if you have no wall, and 6 damage otherwise. So it's very nice that I actually had some wall left. Now, unfortunately, I have 1 wall right now. If I had 0, I could use basic wall to get plus 10 wall. But since I have more than 0 wall, this will only give me 3 wall. So I don't want to use basic wall right now. Rock Garden might be good to use because it adds plus wall. Well, plus 1 wall and plus 1 tower. But it's not very powerful. Yeah, it's probably better to use a battering ram or a bronze golem. But I don't really have that many recruits, so I might as well use the bronze golem right now. Wow, 11 magic. That is an insane amount. Right, I got Frost Columns L. That will actually help me a whole lot. Plus 6 to lowest wall is not nothing. So let's use that. Go, Cherno! Oh. Really? Really? Really now? They used Luna Clock to get plus 1 magic and then Scarlet Meister to deal 10 damage and get plus 1 to every facility, so they have 13 magic. That is insane. Thankfully, I don't think there are many cards that require a lot of gems, so I shouldn't lose right now, but this is very worrying anyway. I will have to use basic wall to build some tower, some wall. Oh, Maze of Love plus 20 tower. Yeah, that's one of those quite powerful cards that require a lot of gems. Yeah, this is not looking good at all. There is one card that I could use to turn everything around, but it's very rare, so I don't think I can count on it actually appearing. Right, Abyssal Scavenger, it gives you 1/3 of the last card to the maximum of 4. So I could get 4 gems out of it, which I don't think I really need. So instead, what else can I use? I could use a battering ram. I could use Sylphihorn, high level. I don't think I really need Burglar, especially since my lowest stat count is recruits. So, yeah, I'll use the battering ram. Okay, Icicle Fall, not very powerful, so everything is good for now, but that makes me wonder if they don't have some crazy powerful cards there. Anyway, I have really bad cards. Well, I guess this is a good opportunity to use Sylphihorn high level because it does 6 damage, which means it will impact their tower. And it's pretty cheap. Of course, basic wall. They build their wall right off the bat. Yeah, I have really bad cards right now. I could do 2 damage, I can build 1 wall and 1 tower. I can deal 2 damage, I can deal 3 damage. I can deal 3 damage. Well, I guess I can do what? I guess Archer is the best choice right now. Oh, a Blind Guardian, that's really nice. But now I have absolutely no wall. Oh well. Still need more tower. Oh, Berserker, 8 damage and 3 damage to your own tower. This is pretty much a card that you will only use when the enemy has no wall. Which I unfortunately do exactly have. But we have Rage Trilithon high level, which will help a bit. Well, it certainly helped repel the Bronze Golem, but not much else. Alright, this is an interesting card. Colorful Rain adds +5 gems to you or the enemy. It's random. 50% chance for that. And it doesn't cost anything. So it's a bit of a gamble, but if you need gems, especially when the enemy has way too many of them, so you don't really care if they get any, it's a pretty good card to use, but right now it's not really the case for me. So, once again, there's no really good cards to use. Well, I guess I'll use Raw Garden then. Prism, perfect. Prism is one of the cards that allows you to discard another card and then play again. Very good when you have bad cards and you want to discard some of them, which is exactly the case right now. So right now, if I press on anything, nothing will happen, because it's a discard round. I need to discard something. So basically that would be the worst card in my current hand. I think this is Blood Sacrifice. It has its uses, but it lowers your magic in turn for adding plus 25 to gems. I have a lot of gems already, so I don't think I will need that at any point in the game, so let's discard that. Okay, next... Bronze Golem would be nice to use, but... they don't have 6 wall, so use big wall instead. Oh! Amazon Warrior destroy all my wall, but nothing else, so that's good. Alright, well, now I have Forced Labor, plus 9 wall, and lose 5 recruits. It's too bad, because recruiting I would really like to have, but I think I do need that 9 wall. Lingering Cold, 4 damage and 4 gems. Do I want to use it? Nah, I think I'll use Abyssal Scavenger to get a few more recruits. Just 2 more, but hey. Silver Dragon, 6 damage to my tower, plus 3 wall. Alright, Blind Guardian, very useful. Getting close to the goal, but it's still some ways to go. Alright. Well, now I can use Bronze Golem then. Okay, that's a very interesting use there. They use Blood Sacrifice to remove some of their magic and add some gems. For the AI, that actually makes a lot of sense, because they don't really benefit from all that much magic anyway. And they can actually use the gems with certain cards to put them into other resources. So that might be a very good thing to do for them. Alright, now, Lingering Cold, that's something I might want to use in this case. Oh yeah, Motherload gives you plus 2 quarry if you have lower quarry than the enemy, otherwise it gives plus 1. I might as well use it right now, I guess. Oh no! Attacked by Letty Whiterock. Okay, well, I could use the Book of Magic, but it's not really all that good at this point. But still, I might as well. Ah, Blacksmith, that is very useful. Plus 1 to dungeon. And this is perfect. Silent Selene, plus 20 wall. I have a lot of bricks, so I can spare that brick cost. Oh dear, Border Fortress. Yeah, 25 tower, 50 wall. Yeah, this is not looking good. This is not looking good at all. Especially since I'm not getting any good cards whatsoever. Well then. I don't want to use the Imp because it removes 5 stock from everyone, and I want to save my recruits. Well, I guess Lingering Cold will have to do. Okay, they are definitely going for a tower victory right now, and I need to stop it. Also, there are some graphical glitches on the new cards here, and I will look into them at some point. There's something wrong with the algorithm that I use for scaling things, but I will figure that out eventually. Alright, Berrien Lake is pretty good. 10 wall, 2 tower. And yeah, everything else is bad, so I will use that. Blizzard, again, they keep using that. Of course, for them it does make a lot of sense, because they have way too many gems anyway. I might actually lose from resource accumulation, though they do need more recruits for that, I think. Alright, well, innovations. +1 to all quarry, you get 4 gems. Might as well, I guess? Yeah, I guess. Oh. Border fortress. 2 border fortresses. 45 bricks each, but they had so many bricks that it didn't matter. Well, yeah, so that was a good game. Alright. So that's pretty much all I wanted to show you in terms of the game itself. One thing I still want to show is how the cards are done. So, like I said, I'm starting to work on that Perfect Cherry Blossom card deck. And, yep. And this is pretty much how cards look like in the code. Basically, you have the same place where all the configuration and the card pools file are, and here you have some subfolders. You can make your own if you want for your card pool. So I have Toho, for example, and yes, copyright. It's quite a concept. It's copyright for GPL, actually, so you can use it in under the terms of the GPL, so it's not like you can't reuse it or anything. Alright, so yeah, so like I said, you have this place. Yeah, so I have the Toho folder here open. So I have 2 card pools, one for Embodiment of Scarlet Devil, one for Perfect Cherry Blossom. These are also Lua files. And this is how card definitions look like. So basically you have a card block, you have the name for the card, you have the description of the card. Frequency is, well, frequency. It's the opposite of rarity. So frequency of 3 means it's fairly common. Frequency of 2 means it's uncommon, and frequency of 1 would be rare. Although DArcomage uses different frequency values than that. So that's why sometimes it's not a good idea to actually mix different card pools, because they might use different notations like that. Then you have all the costs, bricks, gems, and recruits. You have whether the card is cursed, like you could see with the Curse of Vlad Tepes. Then you have the color that you can choose. Usually it's a good idea to keep the color coding correct, so if you require bricks, then make it red. If you require gems, make it blue. If you require recruits, make it green. If you require everything equally, make it white, and if you don't require anything, make it black. Then the picture, this is actually a reference to one of the files in here. You can see a lot of PNG and JPG files here. So this just tells you which file to look at, and then what coordinates to use from that file. You can store all your card pictures into separate files, or you can store them in one large file. It's better to probably store them in one large file because it's easier to load that way. But it's a bit more difficult to create that file in the first place. Keywords are not implemented yet, but I will talk about them a bit later. Then there's the play function, which is where actual coding takes place. This defines what happens when you play the card. So for example, for frost columns, +3 to lowest wall, it checks whether your wall, if the enemy's wall is less than your wall, in which case it adds wall to the enemy, and otherwise it adds wall to you. So you could see that +3 to lowest wall doesn't really elaborate with what happens when you have equal wall. In the original DArcomage, there is something called the benefit of the doubt, in which case if you have something like this, you will get the benefit of the card. So if the walls are equal, you get +3 to your wall. That's why it's put in the else and not in the if itself. So yes, 1 means the enemy, in other words, the player that is after you. 0 is you, or in other words, the player that is playing right now. And then return 1 means whose turn it is next. So this means that go to the next player. If it was 0, that would mean play again, and if it was -1, that would mean discard and play again. And then we have an AI function, which is it is pretty much the same as the play function, just with special AI functions that defines how much priority the AI should give to this card. So essentially it looks very similar to the play function, but it's not always the same, and the main thing is that you return the needed values. And these functions are all predefined in the code, and they will give you different ratings depending on how the game is going on. So like AI add enemy wall 3 will return some negative priority, which means the AI will try to avoid using this when it is a bad time to use it. And AI add wall will return a positive priority, so they will use this when the time is appropriate. And yeah, so that's one card. You can have another card, yet another card. This is much simpler with just a very straightforward play function and an AI function. With AI functions, you normally add all the effects together, so you could have one priority rating that is added from both. And also AI damage enemy, even if it's 1, if the enemy has only 1 tower, this will return a very, very high number, which means that the AI will use this card if it sees that it can win by using this card. So yes, that's how you add cards to the game. So that's pretty simple. And yeah, so right now I'm working on the Perfect Cherry Blossom deck, and I would appreciate a lot of suggestions for any sort of cards that, well, card effects that you would like to see, because thinking about what cards should do is fairly difficult. Basically, my thought process for every single card like this goes first through who is the user of the spell card in Toho, whether, well, that determines the frequency. So if it's, say, like Cherno or Letty Whiterog, the frequency will be 3. If it's Prism River Sisters, for example, the frequency will be 2. And if it's Rand, the frequency will be 1. Yeah, and that also determines the power of the card. So like +3 isn't all that much. So the cards that have high frequency should have low power, and vice versa. And then I look at the spell card and think what is appropriate. So for example, in Frost Columns, in the game you can get walled by it, So that means I've translated it to +3 to lowest wall. Fairly appropriate. So yeah, right now I only have that many cards, but I will be working on implementing more. Yeah, sure, Letty is very strong. Alright. So that's all that I wanted to cover here, I think. I'm still developing this. There are some bugs to sort out, and right now I'm working just on sorting out bugs. But in the future I will also add some more features, like the keywords. I will go over that in some time. What else do I want to say here? Oh yeah, there are like bug trackers and whatnot that you can use to report any bugs that you see, and I'll try to fix them. Also, these AI functions are static, so they just tell you what to use when it's your turn, well, for the AI. But it doesn't look into the future, so the AI does not actually predict what you will get, and it doesn't look into your cards to see what is the best choice for them. And one other person is right now working on improved AI code, where the AI would in fact predict things like that. Though it will probably be only enabled for games where you have card decks visible. So for example, in here there's also one thing that you can do is M-Player Hot Seat. So that's Hot Seat multiplayer. This is a very basic hot seat game, so one person can use these cards, the other person can use those cards, and just plays without the AI. So this is how you see it when cards, well, opponent cards are hidden. So for example, yeah, let's do this. And then it's the turn of the other person, so they can do something else. And back to the same person. And so on. So yes, that's one new thing that I implemented here recently. And it's not something that I have seen any other Arcomage games implement. So yeah, also everything else doesn't work just yet. It works just as the quit button. So yeah. Alright, so now the other thing that I wanted to show you is Arcomage, but I think I will need to change my stream settings a bit. So 1 second while I